Board, James Board. I'm Luke.
I'm Lars.
And I'm Dad.
This is our deep dive retrospective of every James Bond movie. How's everyone doing tonight?
We're doing okay. It's been a couple of weeks since Eleanor had her run-in with a window of glass. She was racing her brother to the front door and put her hand through it.
Oh no, I didn't know about that.
She put her hand through her brother.
Right.
No.
Oh yeah, no, I thought you knew, man. Yeah, so she ran up to the front door and put her hand through the glass and then pulled it out, and then Yep, that's the noise I made. So it was, and she like hid it behind her back, like she was trying to this isn't a big deal.
As blood was pumping out.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
let me see it. And I saw my bone. I was like, you didn't see your bone. It's okay. And she shows me her inside of her wrist, and I see the tendon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god.
So that's when Eleanor had to drive Lars and Elliot to the hospital.
Yeah, because Elliot was useless. He was crying his eyes out, and he's a very sweet boy, and he loves his sister. So if his sister gets hurt, that is he is a he is.
Oh yeah.
His job is to make sure she is okay, right? So he was really upset. She was just like, I'm fine. I am still alive. It is okay. And and so we wrapped her up in a towel, and we got her to the emergency room. And 7 hours later, we left. It was 27 stitches because it was basically, Lucas, she pushed her hand through the glass, then pulled out.
Yeah.
So it was the bottom, like there was two shards.
Like this, right? It just kind of right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bottom one was really deep, like on the inside of the wrist, and then the other one was longer but not as deep. So they stitched her up and put her in a temporary cast, and then we went about 5 days later. So the swelling was done, and we went to an orthopedic surgeon, and the surgeon was like, move your fingers, let me test everything. And she had feeling in all of her fingers. She could still move everything. So there wasn't any damage to the tendons and the nerves and all that kind of stuff. She's in a full cast right now just so it could
Heal.
Exactly. Yeah. So it could brace it. But, she he was like, you dodged a bunch of bullets because there's a bunch of stuff. Because honestly, Lucas, it looked like when Luke Skywalker gets his thing. And unfortunately, they don't tell you, hey, Dad, don't look at this. And I'm like, oh, let me see what it is. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I swear, Lars, I think the emotional scarring is with you more than Eleanor.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna forget about this in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny, Lucas. I called her the next day, and hey, how you doing? How's your hand? And she's like, oh, my hand's fine. And then she was off talking about rainbows and unicorns and what she colored, and
Yeah. So that's
was it left or right?
Her right.
Okay.
So that's been the big, thing happening with us. But other than that, it's been really good. They're getting along
Besides
great.
that, Mrs. Lincoln.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the next day she came. Because we were out at the emergency room until 1. Then we wake up and I took the day off. This was Thursday night. A Thursday night, I took Friday off. I was like, "What do you want to do?" So first we went around the house and cleaned up all the blood because there's blood spots, blood splatters everywhere. And then it was just, I want to go to Mythos, which is her she loves this Greek restaurant. It's like, okay, great. I want to go get ice cream. We're gonna go do that. I want to go to it was just.
So she milked it for everything she could, which is awesome.
She did, but
she was well deserved.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so other than that, things have been going pretty good. How are you doing?
Well, everything I could have said. No.
Yeah, top
that's
that,
insane.
Lucas.
Exactly. No. As I was telling Dad, I've been. We rearranged our apartment. We started on one end of it and went to the other because we've been needed a good refresh.
Nice. Yeah.
Which is nice. Been watching a lot of Star Trek Discovery.
What do you think?
Second season is a hell of a lot better than the first. That
is a matchbox to jump over.
the bar set extremely low. No, that's been what I've been doing.
Now, have you gotten into any of the other Star Trek shows?
Not yet. No.
I will tell you.
I mean, I was going to say Deep Space Nine, of course, because what do I want to do with my day off? Watch Deep Space Nine. Instead of
Well, I will tell you that Picard gets better and better.
Good.
And then I've really enjoyed Lower Decks. It's fun. It's not smart Star Trek. None of the new Star Trek is smart. Like it is not Deep Space Nine. It is not TNG. But a lot of it's just fun.
So which one is it Michelle Kwan in one of them?
Discovery.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yo, that's right, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. Michelle Kwan, I think, is the figure skater.
Oh, that's right.
Which would be awesome.
I knew it was a Michelle. There's a figure skater in Star Trek?
Something that I have noticed, and maybe it's me, and it's not something that anyone I don't think else would ever think about, but having used Netflix, Hulu, HBO, somehow every new streaming service has a worse interface. Mm-hmm. And is it just because we're gotten so used to Netflix?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they haven't made it better. That's the thing. We got used to Netflix. Netflix was the first one. And we all got used to that. And then everybody, for some reason, decided to do something different. Hulu's the worst.
Paramount Plus is pretty bad.
Is it the... I know I find that a lot of them, it's the search feature that I have to click through.
Is garbage.
And I look I keep waiting for a QWERTY keyboard, and some of them are, then most of them are just A, B, C, D, and I have to get used to doing that, and it's just horrible. Mm-hmm. It would be better, I guess, if I hooked up Alexa to it and or Siri or something and just, spoke, but I don't do that.
No, but I agree with you, bud. Like, they've progressively gotten worse. And then the playback features are terrible too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hulu I don't know if you found with Hulu, like,
you mean like rewind?
I can't pause stuff. Sometimes I can't pause stuff, and then when I try to go back and watch it, it'll the playback will be like, it'll skip me ahead,
or it'll remember 5 minutes back or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know if it's because I don't know what sorcery Netflix does, but it apparently they have made some kind of demonic pact.
They met the devil at a crossroads
and said, "Give us an interface."
And it was Mark Shepard,
right? And that was it. Yeah.
So cool. How you been, Dad?
Good. Like I was telling you, went to Pascagoula on business. I showed up at the hotel, and there was a giant county fair in the parking lot of the hotel, which was interesting. I don't know if they did it just because I was showing up or what, but you noticed it, Lucas. It was an actual gravitron.
Yep.
In the parking lot. But,
nice. Did you go?
That would be no. No, I looked at how it was all rigged. I don't know. This is a really sketchy fair.
Those are the best.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a death wish, I guess. But well, then a line. That was the first night. The second night, a line of tornadoes was supposed to come through, so they shut everything down. And I was waiting for like parts of gravitron to embed itself into the hotel I was staying in, but luckily it passed by us to the north.
That sounds like the cross between a Michael Bay movie and a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like if you're on a gravitron during a tornado, you go back in time. Like that's the equivalent of 88 miles per hour.
Or you wouldn't even notice. Was that a tornado?
Yeah.
Wait, did it back you up? Does it cancel each other out? Cool.
So we're talking about a bunch of better things, in my opinion. than the movie that we're going to talk about. And
so you're saying that your daughter putting her hand through a window was better than Man with the Golden Gun?
Well,
Lucas, how long does this stay online? And will she ever hear this? Because she's asleep right now. And I'm going to say she's going to heal up just fine. No, yes, obviously worse. But for my, the tradition of the cocktail, I was going to pour myself another Goldschlager. It's a Golden Gun. But I don't like Goldschlager. And I didn't really want to talk about this movie. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to at least get some enjoyment out of this. So I'm having a bourbon. Just, that's my drink of choice. And that way I can at least, aside from talking with you and Dad, get some enjoyment out of this evening, because this movie posits little enjoyment for me.
Funny you should mention bourbon. Something I have been thinking about. Bourbon is probably my favorite flavor.
huh.
It'd be bourbon and lemons.
So like bourbon, like barbecue chicken, bourbon
Bourbon in general,
ribs, like
yeah.
just like and then just bourbon in general. It's your favorite flavor. I'm gonna say it's very high up there for. So what's your go-to?
Bourbon.
Well, there you go.
I have tried a fair share, and I'm always of the like price to taste.
Yeah.
Like
Four Roses.
Four Roses is good, and it's not too expensive. Like because there's some it's just like it's ostentatious. You're buying it just because it costs a lot.
Yeah.
And there's some that are really really good. Wild Turkey for me.
Yep.
Is like it tastes really good. It's on the same shelf as Four Roses, so it tastes good. It's not too expensive. It's the good happy medium. But Four Roses is good too. I like them.
So as long as we're talking about amber liquors, I kind of lean towards the Bullet Rye.
Now that is really good.
Like
that is
that.
really good.
Yep.
It is very good. But that's for me. That's a special treat.
Yeah,
because it is a little bit more like that. I agree with you. That one's really good. But like just standard run of the mill.
Yep.
I agree with Lucas. Four Roses is good, and then I think Wild Turkey is just a nice
All right.
one.
And a Man with a Golden Gun is okay.
Dad,
what-
what's the summary of Man with the Golden Gun?
Okay, so The Man with the Golden Gun was made in 1974. So after receiving a golden bullet with 007 etched on its surface, M relieves Bond of a mission locating a British scientist who invented, I love this one, the Solex agitator, a device to harness solar power, thereby solving the energy crisis. The bullet signifies Bond as the target of an assassin, Scaramanga, and Bond sets out unofficially to find him. From a spent golden bullet, Bond tracks Scaramanga to Macau, where he sees Scaramanga's mistress collecting golden bullets at a casino. Bond follows her to Hong Kong, where he witnesses the murder of the scientist and the theft of the Solex agitator. Bond is subsequently assigned to retrieve the agitator and assassinate Scaramanga. Bond meets Hai Fat, a wealthy Thai entrepreneur suspected of arranging the scientist's murder, and is captured but subsequently escapes. He tracks Scaramanga to an island in Red Chinese waters where the two men fight, and Bond kills the assassin.
So, the problem I had with this is that there is a much better Bond movie just right below the surface.
100% agree.
Not even that far of a leap, and it's really frustrating for that reason. One of the this is the closest we get to a Bond versus Bond until Skyfall.
Yep.
You mean assassin versus assassin, kind of?
Well, not even assassin versus assassin, because we had that in From Russia with Love. Because he's not Bond yet. He's Bond. He's not Bond. This is James Bond versus what should have been an evil James Bond. because it's all the setup to that. Red Grant is just an assassin. He's a very menacing. He's very anything, but he doesn't have the class, the charm, the bondness.
Plus,
Scaramanga does.
Well, plus Scaramanga
not well.
Scaramanga was doing it. I think the one thing I think that got to me, that irritated me with this, is that he was allegedly a mercenary. He was doing it. He would kill for $1 million a hit, and yet you never really saw that happen. You never really,
Exactly.
understood any of that. He was just, okay, that's just what he does. So he just had to take it as
well. To Lucas's
face value.
point. Well, to Lucas's point, that's where the other movie that would have been better is right there, because it's Scaramanga's doing it for money. Bond does this for love of Queen and country, and like there's the two ideologies butting up against each other.
But it never happened.
It was almost there. It was, but that would have been interesting, like, in seeing like Bond get tempted. I don't know. Like I agree with you, Lucas. Like that was just like a really great James Bond movie. Is almost there. It's right below the surface.
Yeah.
It's interesting because of how close it gets. Like he has the island fortress that is his own place,
Which was really cool.
It's really cool and it's classy, and he's got the same kind of evil charm because it's Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee is wonderful in everything he does.
Right.
And I remember really enjoying this, and I really enjoyed it mostly because I'm watching the movie I'm watching. I'm thinking about that better one the whole time.
Well, so I was gonna before we get into the story, I really there's things I appreciate about this movie, and one of them is that it felt very exotic. We're back to James Bond going to exotic locales. So, Lucas, you mentioned Macau, and you mentioned he goes to Hong Kong, and then Scaramanga's fortress. It looks like Pandora. Like and they're naturally occurring islands, but again, going back to bumfuck Iowa, where is this? This is on Earth? Like, it was weird and exotic, and I loved that. Like that, it was like, okay, great. We're not in Shaft, New York.
Yeah.
Or like dirty, gross Las Vegas. We're in weird, interesting places. That was a positive. Absolutely was a positive.
Yes. And yet they brought back the sheriff.
No, don't even go there yet. Don't even go there yet.
Oh God.
There were key points in this movie that I think, looking back, because it was actually filmed in '74, it brought back bad memories of Leisure Suits, and I just didn't like that era. They did it well, I thought, but I don't know. I guess for me, it's because I don't like him as James Bond. He really isn't James Bond. He's like he's playing somebody similar to James Bond. But
and that I want to ask you, Lucas, about this, because I'd be interested to, once we get to the ones that we grew up watching, like in the theater.
Yeah.
Like I think the first one we saw in the theater was probably GoldenEye. Right, so probably our James Bond's Pierce Brosnan. I would
exactly.
So how much of this character is both dependent on the nostalgia of the character and also hampered on the nostalgia of the character? Because I think it's in equal bits.
That's the frustrating part. Is I think a lot of it is, well, they still don't know what to do with Roger Moore yet.
Yep.
We had one outing of another Bond before this, and we don't know what to do with Roger Moore yet. That's why I was reading about this. He hits people harder, and he's a bit more gruff and grumbly in this one. Specifically, they added that in the script because Roger Moore was such an English gentleman that he just effortlessly was oozed charm, and they needed to dial that back somehow.
yeah, he was even he slapped Maud Adams. He was doing things that wouldn't fly right now.
Right. He did, and they did that because he would. That's so not who
to toughen him up.
Who Roger Moore? Yeah, who not Roger Moore was.
And I'm sorry. I again, going back to this whole idea of there's not a lot that happens in this movie at the beginning. Like the whole I don't even know what the world-ending thing was at the end, because eventually Scaramanga basically gets tired of killing people for $1 million and takes over the business of somebody that he's been hired to kill, or like somebody hired.
Yeah, he wants to sell franchises to solar power companies.
And it's like, well, what did you ever want to do with that? Like, you were a hitman. Why
You're
aren't
a
you
good hitman.
You're
Yeah,
a
like
great.
what's
Yes. Like, why aren't you still doing that? It was because there had to be this world-ending threat because it's a James Bond movie. But, like, it didn't need that because the threat was, here's somebody that can outmatch James Bond at every level. He's as sexy as James Bond. He can kill people like James Bond. That's all you needed.
Christopher Lee would have been better as James Bond.
Here's another thing we've been hampered by. We've been hampered by the loss of Spectre and Blofeld.
Yeah.
That if he had been an assassin for Spectre or Blofeld, this movie would have been 1,000 times.
There would have
better.
been some continuity, maybe.
Continuity, and you would have also had that world-ending threat that wouldn't have had to been saddled on Scaramanga.
Well, because we've established the threat that Spectre is. So then if we can continue the threat there, at least like, oh, he's tied him with Spectre, even if you don't have the solar thing, you know
Agitator.
Right. You know that he's attached to Spectre, which is a bad thing. So there's more of a threat there. But now that he's not connected with it.
I don't know. This was a couple of things I wanted to make sure I made a point on. This was filmed during the energy crisis, which I lived through in the 70s. I remember the lines at the gas pump. So they worked off of that, which said, okay, solar power, let's use that in here. So that was a pretty good thing, how they leveraged that against the story. But there were so many things that just irritated me about Roger Moore's performance as James Bond. And I think one of the big ones is he smokes cigars and not cigarettes. And I'm not one to say you should smoke anything, but it's James Bond, and he smokes 5 packs of cigarettes a day. And
he has them specially made.
Yes.
In the book, there are paragraphs that describe the Turkish blend of tobacco that he gets them from a special place, he loads his cigarette case with this many things. It's almost like his I am getting ready for my day. I've shaved. Here's my cigarettes. And so him smoking cigars was weird. Now, we're basically shitting on this movie. Lucas, I know that you liked this one. I want to hear what you like. Because I've said what I liked about it. There are things I liked about this movie. What were the...
I don't know if... Maybe I gave the wrong impression. I don't know if I liked this movie. No, I'm gonna be. Let me qualify this. I enjoyed this movie. That does not mean I liked it, and I enjoyed it most of the time. Yeah, most of the time. Most of why I enjoyed this was the interesting set pieces. It's exotic, and I'm watching the better movie underneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you liked.
Okay,
I mean, there certainly were really good bits in this. The boat chase, that was exotic. I had never seen a boat with an outboard engine like that. I'd never seen anything like that before. Mm-hmm. The 360-degree flip he does in the car
with the slide whistle.
Well, see, now that ruined it, but that actually set a Guinness Book record then. But that was cool. It was all these really cool things that were somehow, this is just my opinion, somehow linked together with a James Bond movie. You know, it's like, oh, let's do this. The running across the crocodile or alligator heads. You know, it's just really cool things attempt to be linked together by...
Well, that was Live and Let Die.
Oh, that's right. Nope.
But to go back to your,
you're right.
Exotic stuff, Muay Thai. We see Muay Thai boxing,
which is sort of a callback to
the sumo wrestling.
Yep.
And
yes.
Also cool. Like, hey, this is something that's I bet you a bunch of people haven't seen this stuff before. Like, what is this? This is exotic. But then, all right, I'm going to bring them up. I'll do it. That goddamn sheriff shows up.
I know. I don't get it. I don't understand why.
It was the 70s. I know. As soon as I saw the guy and his wife. What?
So Lucas, and obviously, Daddy, you were there too. But we grew up in, spent several years in Louisiana, right? And I still keep in touch with people down there, and I'm sure you still have memories of the people that you knew down there. Would you ever imagine them traveling, jet setting over to Macau or Thailand or anywhere outside of the parishes?
Maybe. Probably. Well, honestly, I don't know. I haven't spoken to any of them since we left, to be perfectly honest.
I don't. When most of them ended up living on the same streets that they grew up on.
Yeah.
So when that sheriff showed up for completely contrived reasons,
Yep.
it's like, well, why? Was there such a demand to have this guy back in these movies? And I wanted to pose this question to both of you, like, what was it? Like, Lucas, why was he there?
I have no idea. I don't.
All right, good.
That's the best way for me to describe it. I don't understand.
It was almost like it was an audience. They did an audience poll afterwards. Said, so which character would you like to see in the next one? Oh, we really love the sheriff. Well, let's see if we can plug him into this movie.
I mean, it's kind of. I'm not trying to give this movie credit, but I do. The idea that, okay, there are consequences to his actions, and one of those consequences is he just happens to run into a bumbling sheriff again, accidentally. I mean, when I went to frickin' Dublin for my high school trip, I ran into a friend of mine from my high school who just happened to be there that same weekend.
But was he chewing tobacco and making racist comments about?
Not.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he was
I
not.
know.
However, reality is unrealistic sometimes.
No, I yes. It was like, we've established that there's people that he knows outside of Q Branch and like the M service, right? So he knows like Felix Leiter. He knows like, and so there was not a connection with him and this character. Like if it was a former fling that showed up, like, James,
Yeah.
you've grown. Or like something that's like, something that's just like has acknowledged that he's a different character or a different actor. I would be okay with that, because at least there's been a connection between those two characters. The only connection was he was Billy Bob. Was it Billy Bob?
He might as well have been.
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Like you said, Lucas, there was a movie that could have been really cool right underneath this. Scaramanga is ruthless.
Something that I find really fascinating is the gun he uses, the golden gun, the titular golden gun, is a 4.2 millimeter, which is tiny, which is incredibly small.
It's like a Derringer.
It's not even. Derringers can be huge. Like, that's not even. It's a.
But like, yeah, it's a little like.
It's a 38.
Little
basically.
No, it's even smaller than that.
Oh, that's right. It's millimeter.
Smaller than a 20.
That's right. It's millimeter.
It's small. Yeah, it's smaller than It's smaller than a 22. It's just really interesting to me that this is going off of. We've talked about our own earlier experiences as
Goldeneye.
With Goldeneye, the golden gun in it is a one-shot, one-kill.
I'm so happy that you brought this up.
The only reason it's a one-shot kill in the movie is that Scaramanga is that good. The
Right.
only reason that it would kill someone, and it's just funny that's my memory of the golden gun is, it's the dick gun that you play with that you can't miss with, you can't lose with.
Yeah, if you get,
in the game?
If you got the gold.
Oh, you're talking about the game.
My God.
Oh, okay. Got
if
it.
you got the golden gun in Goldeneye, it was. Well, I've won this.
It's game
level.
breaking.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You were all fucked, because it is literally, you could shoot somebody in the knee and they're dead.
And to me,
But to Lucas,
the gun in the movie was the most contrived, irritating, cigarette case, pen, all these things he had to put together. I never understood all that. It was very contrived.
well, and I think it was because, to Lucas's point, the gun doesn't matter. It's because he is the best shot in the world. He'll take you out with anything.
We should have been the man with the golden slingshot. It would have been more interesting. But
that doesn't have the alliteration yet.
That's very true. That's very true.
But I'm glad you brought that up, Lucas, because that always was funny.
Oh, that's interesting.
I knew what the golden gun was way before I watched this movie. So then when you see the movie after knowing that like you'll just die.
Oh wow! Because I never knew any of that. I never played those games. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those like weird cultural memories that we have, and you never played as Oddjob because Oddjob was a head shorter and it was cheating.
Yep.
I thought
Lucas, a buddy of mine had like his ringtone, like his text message was the shell exchange from one of the Walther PPKs from GoldenEye.
Nice.
And like it would happen, and like I heard him like,
why do I know that?
I know that.
Really?
what does that sound?
I'll have to look that one up.
It's a shell exchange from Golden. I'm like, I knew it.
I really thought a lot of this movie was padding. The whole thing where he ends up in the dojo outside, that was like a 10-minute sequence where he fights people. And by the way, Roger Moore's a horrible fighter. It was sad to watch, but it was a lot of fighting going on, and I didn't understand where any of it was going, to the point that he was running, chasing the car to get in it to escape. But I don't know. It was a lot of padding. This whole movie is padding. This whole movie should have been James Bond on the run.
Yes. No, 100%. 100%. James Bond, like, he's cut off from MI6 because they, like M said, you're off this case. James basically says, fuck you, I'm done. You can't take me off this case. I'm going to do it myself. Well, if you're going to do it, then you're doing it on your own. And he's fighting himself.
Yeah.
That's the movie. He's fighting
himself. Because the whole movie is the build up to that duel. Of course it ends in a gun duel. There's no other way for it to do it. Doesn't change the fact that it's dumb.
And Lucas, did you not know at the very beginning of this entire movie, there's this training sequence where, what was the guy's, the Knick-Knack, thank you.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't even want to go there.
Goddamn there.
Yeah.
Brings this person in to allegedly train Scaramanga. So they go through this funhouse mirrors and everything, and there's a mannequin of James Bond that that is part of the training. When I watched this movie to begin with, I knew that at the very end of this movie, that mannequin would then be James Bond hiding.
Exactly.
You knew it, and this was 10 minutes into the movie.
It's a callback to the Red Grant training sequence.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's unfortunately a large portion of the James Bond movies are callbacks to earlier James Bond movies.
But in From Russia with Love, you weren't expecting like James Bond to be in a tux, infiltrating something and being killed. But in this sequence, you, like Dad said, well, this is how this is going to end.
I know where this is going.
and he's going to pretend to be that guy. Okay.
Yep.
So let's see where we go. And at least we went to some exotic locales. The cars in it were terrible.
Well, they were AMC cars, and AMC was big in 1974, and they financed a lot of the movie. So I swear to God,
that's actually the cars those police used in Macau.
Yes.
Or not in Macau. Or was it Macau?
I forget where they were chasing it.
In Thailand.
Yes. But it was an AMC Matador, which I'm like, oh my God. Because they had just come out with that car, and I think it went the way of the Corvair, maybe. I don't know. It was just they weren't very good cars, but
it wasn't the Aston Martin, and even like the Lotus comes in later, and that's very 80s. But that was also like, who the hell was driving a Lotus? Nobody, right? Like that was like a very expensive car. But with this one, it was just like, oh
yeah, Billy Bob could have been driving this one.
It had its moments. It had some stuff I enjoyed. In further thinking about it, I'm gonna agree with you that I still think Diamonds Are Forever is the worst one that we've watched so far.
Yep.
Like of the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Like Casino Royale, obviously that was shit.
Well, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. But like of the Eon production movies, Diamonds Are Forever was probably the worst one. This is a close second for me for the worst one. But
I would rather watch this over Live and Let Die.
Yeah, it's close. It's
no,
close.
yeah, no, you're right. No, yeah, I would agree with you
Just
there.
from a sheer there's a lot just from the sheer exotic part of it. I agree. It's exotic
It's not,
locations
and it's not cringy either. Like Live and Let Die ended up being really cringy for me.
Yeah.
This one wasn't.
No.
I did
wasn't
like the fact that Christopher Lee was, when of course he has to talk with James Bond to tell him why he's going to take over the world and what he's doing, and he's talking about basically selling franchises for solar panel installations. And then he said, "I don't even know how these things work, but I have people that know how this works." And then he had this factory that built them. And then you go into the factory and there are all these, for some reason you need liquid helium at 400 degrees below zero or something, and all these giant pods. Of course, they're all below you, and the one and open. The one place where you operate the levers for whatever, there's no railing, so that you can push somebody into one of them so they explode. I love that part.
Oh goodness. So this was The Man with the Golden Gun. It's a movie that I feel like it's a movie. I feel like the title is one that's remembered. Mm-hmm. Like For Your Eyes Only. No one ever remembers that one.
You mean the plot?
And not even the plot. Like when you rattle off names of James Bond movies, The Man with the Golden Gun. That's one that's
sticks with you.
Sticks with you. At least I remember that one, like when it would come on TBS, like, oh, it's The Man from the Golden Gun, like it's next, like, oh, I know what that one is.
I know that one.
I didn't know what that one was. This whole point of this project was to look at the time that it was made, and I feel like this definitely was a 1974 movie.
It nailed it. Mm-hmm. It nailed it. And if you look at it from that perspective, okay. It was a good movie. It was a good movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I did think that Maude Adams was kind of wasted in this. It was a good shot where she's sitting at the boxing match and she's dead because she's been shot by him. That was pretty cool.
Right.
How they did that, but she'll show up later on in what is it, Octopussy, I think.
She does?
Yeah, she shows up in another James Bond movie with Roger Moore.
Really?
Same character or different?
Oh, no, different character. Which I thought everybody liked. Okay, let's just forget that she died in that one. We'll watch her in this one.
So she's the Tom Paris of the James Bond universe. Like,
she's not Nick Locarno.
Exactly.
And I need to make one more point. I hate the fact that everybody knows who James Bond is, and they just keep oh my God, you've shot James Bond. Oh, you've killed. That's not James Bond. That's not how that's supposed to work. And everybody knows who he is.
Right.
He's famous.
Why would you? Right. He's supposed to be a secret agent. Now he's just an agent. And not a particularly good one.
Actually, he's a non-secret agent.
Yeah. Lucas, where can folks find us?
We can be found on basically every streaming platform. Our theme song, Iron Curtain Shuffle, is made by the incredible Lily Boyd. You can find her at Here Lies Lil on Twitter.
Our logo is done by the wonderful Wes Corbus, who's celebrating his birthday next weekend on April the 9th, so be sure to go wish him a happy birthday. James Bond will return in
The Spy Who Loved Me.
I'm actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I have never seen it.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen that one.
That one's probably the one that we'll like the most of Rod. If I could like read the room, I feel like that's the one that will. Dad's shaking. See, Dad's more of an octopusy man himself.
No.
So. No. Oh yeah.
And I can't believe that we, excuse me, that we got out of this and never even mentioned the third nipple.
Holy shit!